The New York Jets finally know who their quarterback is going to be. Now it's time to pivot and take advantage of this free agency and fill this team with some good players.
Inside, and a beauty! Hall running free! Brees Hall inside the 10! He's gonna score!
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo. My name is Tigo, and I absolutely look and feel like a hot mess. The baby is sick. I'm sick. Everyone in the house is sick, and so we're trying to fix all of that. But I wanted to get you guys a video. Obviously, yesterday, we were all excited, and we all remember the news. Aaron Rodgers has chosen the New York Jets, and the New York Jets and the Green Bay Packers are just working out on compensation. Now, while that is happening, we cannot waste time just focusing on the Aaron Rodgers of it all. We do need to go out, and we do need to go and get free agent signings and bring them to this team. That's a big part of what we need to do here. That being said, we're going to go over some of the positions that I think are big needs for this team and how we could possibly address these in free agency. Now, remember, we can't address every position in free agency. Some positions have to be left for the draft. But here are some of the guys in the positions that I think we need help on and who we can go out to fill those things. I think the biggest position, and we're going to start on the offensive side of the ball because, well, we got Aaron Rodgers. Let's help him out by stacking that team up as much as possible. And so for those of you who may not know, Orlando Brown Jr. signed a contract with the Bengals last night, and I found that a little bit strange, not because he went to the Bengals, but the report came out that the New York Jets were interested in him, and it makes a ton of sense. The New York Jets should be investing premium assets and premium capital on the offensive line, and it's good to know that the New York Jets believe in that. Now, while Orlando Brown Jr. wasn't my favorite offensive tackle out there, I do understand the pursuit of him, and from my understanding, I felt as if the New York Jets and other teams that were interested in Orlando Brown wanted him to play right tackle while the Bengals wanted him to play left tackle, and he chose the Bengals because of his name, and he's got his dad, and blah, 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 all of that stuff. Totally get it. But who can the New York Jets go out and target to possibly fill or help round out this offensive tackle room? Well, there's really only three names that shout out and jump out at me when I look at the remaining free agents. Now, they all have massive question marks on them, and that's what you get when you're this far into free agency. Legal tampering has started Monday. We're going to be going into Thursday with this stuff. And there's not a lot of very good prospects out there, but there are guys that can fill the room that can maybe not start, but that can fill out the room, I guess is the best way to say it. So target number one would be if you wanted to bring our offensive line coach, someone that he may be familiar with. I don't know if they have the best relationship, but that would be Taylor Lewan. Now, the problem there is Taylor Lewan probably wants to get a little bit higher of a contract, and he's never played on the right side before. He's a left tackle, and there's the injury concern. He's always hurt, and he's always injured. Next would be Isaiah Wynn, formerly of the New England Patriots. Same kind of deal with Taylor Lewan. I think he can play both sides of the tackle spots, left side or the right side. But the big problem is Isaiah Wynn's injury concern. He doesn't seem to have the propensity to stay healthy. And then that leads to my third option, which is bringing back George Fant. Now, we all know that I am not a George Fant fan. No alliteration intended. But that being said, if you were to bring him in to compete, I think he's more than capable of being a swing tackle. And if you're telling me that our tackles going into the year are Dwayne Brown on the left and Mekhi Becton on the right, and then backing that up is Max Mitchell on the right and George Fant on the left, I'm totally cool with that. Now, my preference would be to move Mekhi to the left if something happened to Dwayne Brown, and then bump in Max Mitchell to the right and have George Fant back both of them up with like a Ogbehi who we maybe keep on the practice squad. That would be an ideal situation for me. But that's kind of what the offensive tackle room would look like. It seems like we might push this direction towards the draft, but there are some guys out there that do have some potential to come to the New York Jets, and I don't think they're going to be a massive contract. I think George Fant honestly could be had for $3 to $5 million. Hasn't been healthy. He needs to go show that he can stay healthy for a whole year and all that stuff. And the New York Jets might be a really good option, and he could chase a ring, and he already lives here. Maybe we bring back Fant, which I didn't think was an option before. The other one is probably going to be wide receiver. Now, with the signing of Adam Thielen, a lot of people are going to be like, why would we be looking at a wide receiver? We've got a bunch of wide receivers. Well, here's the thing. Allen Lazard seems to be more of a Corey Davis replacement, and we still need to replace Braxton Berrios and what his production is. Now, there is an argument to be said that you can just wait to the draft, but we're talking about filling this stuff in free agency, and a couple of names came to mind. Obviously, we have the big two that we keep on hearing, or the big three that we keep on hearing about: Odell Beckham Jr., Adam Thielen, and Randall Cobb. And I'd be cool with any of the three. I would prefer Adam Thielen purely based off of nothing statistical, nothing on tape. Adam Thielen has been one of my favorite players for a long time, and I would love to see him on the Jets. Randall Cobb is familiar with new Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers. I still can't say that and it sound right. And then you've also got to have the conversation of, OBJ and his talent and how good he is. And yes, there's two ACLs on the same leg, but as wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, I'm not that worried about that leg if we're looking at 30 to 40% of the snaps. Now, other names that we haven't mentioned, McCole Hardman, formerly of the Kansas City Chiefs, could probably be had for really cheap. And he filled this kind of role with Kansas City. He can return punts and kicks, which is very good. He's a speed demon, which is very good. It's always good to have guys who have speed and length, which McCole Hardman has. And I think he could be had for the cheap. So bringing him to New York makes a ton of sense. Another one would be DJ Chark. A lot of Jets fans are really big fans of DJ Chark. Now I'm concerned that maybe DJ Chark's contract is going to be a little bit closer to what Allen Lazard makes than maybe what we want to pay. I'm probably in the $3 to $5 million when it comes to a wide receiver. And this is where you maybe taking a project that has some upside and in N'Keal Harry. Like, he didn't work in New England. How much of that is a product of New England? How much of that not working in Chicago is a product of Chicago? Maybe if he comes to the Jets and he's wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6, maybe it can work out. Those are some of the guys that I thought were interesting. We all know that we need a center, and I expect us to go after a free agent center. There are 2 on the board that I would feel comfortable with. Obviously, we can always bring back Connor McGovern. He has not signed yet. The report that he went to the Lions was false, but if it was up to me, the one that I would want to go after is Ben Jones, former center of the Tennessee Titans, top 10 center in this league last year, and drafting a center to sit behind him. I think that would be the best option for all. And then the last position, and I think this is a position that we absolutely need to go address in free agency. I don't feel comfortable waiting for the draft. Let's go get a name that we can bring in, and that is running back. The thing that we need to remember is that Bryce Hall might not be ready. Breece Hall might not be ready to start the season. And even if he is, I would rather not rush him back. Let's give him the time to relax, heal up. I would put him on IR at the beginning of the season to make sure that he can't come in for at least 4 weeks and bring in a veteran. We have to take into consideration that Michael Carter is coming off of a bad year. And when he was at North Carolina, he was a duo, right? He wasn't a solo back. And while I love what he did in his first year, and I'm a really big fan of Michael Carter, banking on him coming back and playing like he did in year 1, you can't do that. And then you have to take into consideration that Zonovan Knight was a UDFA that fell off towards the end of the year once people got tape on him. That how much of that is a product of the teams that we were playing knowing that we were going to run, or a product of his performance? We don't know. But that's it when you look at the running backs that are on this team that you can really look at. So I think Ty Johnson is more than likely going to be back on this team. 1 year, $1 million. You can probably get out from under that in the middle of the season and waive him or practice squad him even without him probably being claimed. But if we wanted to go big name running back, to get another guy in the room, here are a couple of guys, and we're going to go from worst to best when it comes to this. And so if we're looking at, let's just get other guys, I'm a big fan of Marlon Mack and Donta Foreman. I think they can come in and really be good complementary pieces to our running back room. They're not going to take over the running back room. They're not going to come in and immediately be running back 1 while Breece Hall is hurt, and then be running back 2 when he comes back. These are guys that are going to come into that room and probably be running back 3 immediately. That being said, when you've got 3 running backs that you can really rely on, you can switch things up. You can have a different running back in on every single play and feel comfortable that Donta Foreman, Michael Carter, Zonovan Knight, that one of those 3 guys is probably going to catch a hot hand. I feel cool with that. Now, if you wanted to swing for the fences and really go get guys that might not cost as much money as we think, you obviously have Ezekiel Elliott out there. Now, he might be looking for Saquon Barkley money, like in that $10 million range. I don't feel comfortable with that at all. But if he's willing to get more in the Jamal Williams kind of package range, I would feel really, really comfortable bringing Ezekiel Elliott to come in and be a starting running back. And then when Breece comes in, you've got a 1, 2, 3, 4 of Breece, Zeke, MC, and Bam. Like, that's a great running back room ready for a championship. And here's the one that I would go after, and that's Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt would bring something different to this running back room, the way that he runs, the way that he plays the game. And I would love to be able to go get him. I don't think that there is that big of a market for him in the sense of maybe the money that he's looking for. And if he might want to go chase a ring, the New York Jets would be a great option and give Breece an opportunity to heal up. Now, transitioning to the defense, there's 3 positions on the defense that everybody knows is a concern: defensive tackle, safety, and linebacker. And while I feel we're probably going to address these positions in the draft, there are some players out there that we can still go out and acquire. Let's start with the one that everyone's going to be a fan of, and that's safety. Guys, I think we're done with the safety room. I think there is a more likelihood that we wait till the draft to draft somebody and then cut Jordan Whitehead, because it doesn't matter if we cut him now or later. We can get out from his contract entirely. That being said, if we wanted to be a little bit more proactive in free agency, here are 2 guys that I think that can immediately slot in and be LaMarcus Joyner replacements. They're not going to be super high-level players. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is not on this list because I don't think we're in that market for a safety. I hope I'm wrong, but I think we're more in the market for a guy like Terrell Edmonds, Taylor Rapp, Adrian Amos. These are the types of guys that are, middle-of-the-pack free safeties, pretty decent in coverage, pretty decent when it comes to tackling, and that's exactly what we need. As long as we've got Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed in our defensive back room, I don't really care who our safeties are. They don't need to be these super ball hawk, Minkah Fitzpatrick type players. We just need guys who aren't bad. LaMarcus Joyner was bad. Jordan Whitehead last year was bad. Well, we've upgraded the strong safety by going out and getting Chuck Clark. Now, if we want to upgrade the free safety, I would really be a fan of bringing in a guy like Taylor Rapp. He's young, and if you give him like a 2-year Jordan Whitehead deal on like a little bit lower of a number, let's say 2 years, $14 million, $6 million guaranteed kind of a thing, I would feel really, really comfortable with that, because we know, or we should expect, to re-sign Chuck Clark. He's only 27 years old, and having him here on this team for a relatively long time, for the next 2 or 3 years, would only benefit the Jets. And if Taylor Rapp can work in this system as a single high safety for us in that free safety room, he's also, I think, 26 years old. So we can keep him around for some time and not have to worry about maybe investing the draft assets that we need there. And then we also still have, Tony Adams and Ashton Davis there as backups, and I believe in both of those guys as upside. And maybe we can revisit the safety room in a couple of years and see, is Tony Adams ready? Is Ashton Davis ready? And I think that would be a really good fit. Now, the linebacker room, I think we're done with. I think people need to get ready for the fact that I think this coaching staff believes that Jamie Sherwood is ready to start. I think he's ready to start. He's been learning for the past 2 or 3 years. He's ready. He can come up. He can play. We saw what he was able to do when he was replacing C.J. Mosley as a middle linebacker for those snaps. I think he's ready. For me, he's linebacker 3. He's the reason Quan Alexander probably isn't on this team. But if we were looking for a cheap project, kind of like Quan Alexander, who could have some upside and has some question marks to his game, Devin Bush, the former first-round pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you don't remember, the Jets were at 10 when Pittsburgh came up from 20 to go get Devin Bush 4 or 5 years ago. And so bringing in a guy like Devin Bush, high upside, former first-round pick, and maybe we can turn him into something. Remember that Sheldon Rankins with New Orleans didn't live up to his first-round pick hype. Came to the Jets and we kind of fixed him, and now he's in Houston, and that's awesome. And speaking of Sheldon Rankins, we're going to transition to the last position that I think we need help at. As defensive tackle. Now, this defensive tackle class has gotten really, 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 really thin. And again, if you look at what the New York Jets did, we were high and really in there with Fletcher Cox. We even offered him more money than the Philadelphia Eagles, but he ultimately decided that he wanted to stay in Philly. That being said, there are a couple of guys that we could bring in that could be rotational guys. We already brought Solomon Thomas back. We still have Tanzel Smart, which I think deserves an opportunity to start. But if we wanted to go big, there are two guys that I think that could come in and could start for this team and play at a relatively high level, and that's Linval Joseph and Calais Campbell. Calais Campbell plays defensive end in a 3-4 system, so he's essentially a 3-tech in a 4-3, which is what we play, which would work perfectly for us. And then Linval Joseph, I don't know if you guys remember this, was actually in communications with the Jets last year to come to the Jets before he decided to go to the Chargers. Well, we're a really good team now. Maybe we can readdress that and come to the Jets and help fill out that defensive tackle room. Guys, that's everyone. I think if we brought any one of these guys, it would massively help out the team, help out Aaron Rodgers, and help us get to a Super Bowl, because that's what the expectation should be this year. Let me know any free agents that you're interested in. And last but not least, and always, go Jets.